Institute of Finance and Taxation, Thiruvananthapuram, Professor Neeti Mehta, Director, Sardar Patel Institute of Economic and Social Research, Ahmedabad, our colleagues and dear participants. Today we are going to start a 12 days capacity building program. Our social science faculty member, sponsored by SPIESR. The program aimed to enhance the research capability of the young faculty members by introducing several important social and economic issues which can be taken for future research. Now I would like to request Professor Neeti Mehta. She is also the coordinator of the program. To ma'am, please introduce the objective of the program. And welcome the Professor Joseph.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vachaspati. I welcome all the participants, and I welcome Professor Joseph, who at a very short notice agreed to give the inaugural address for this program, despite his very busy schedule. And we can see that he is traveling and he is still doing the needful. So thank you so much for that, sir. And welcome all the participants. As you all are aware and know that the SPIESR is a very notable social science research institute, especially working on issues of economic and social research for the region, as well as national and international issues. And this program is being sponsored by Indian Council of Social Science Research, and it is basically a capacity building program. And we have tried to cover a wide canvas of issues which confront the Indian economy. So there are different sectors on which we have invited experts to give their views on the state of the art in terms of the research methods which are being carried out, the topics and the issues which are confronting the different sectors. So I'm sure that given the diversity of the participants and who are coming from different various backgrounds, the lectures would be very useful, and they would set an agenda for the future research of the participants, their future endeavors. So as Vachaspati has mentioned, we are trying to cover a broad arena. So we have macroeconomics and the condition of the Indian economy, regional disparities, issues in labor and development, agriculture, industry, small industry, rural industrialization. In terms of rural development, we are also talking about the digital technology and the role of digital technology in ushering in outreach of government schemes and other programs to the large masses. Then we have invited experts for poverty measures to speak on that. Health and education are also the aspects which we are going to cover. Population dynamics, urbanization. These are the different environment, of course, and of course the external sector, foreign trade. These are the different kinds of issues and sectors of the economy that we have invited experts. So I also, at the outset, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the experts and the speakers who have agreed to deliver this their talks in different sessions. And I'm really grateful for them. And on behalf of the Institute, I would like to welcome and thank them for agreeing to our request. And I think as the purpose behind such training programs is to enhance the capabilities of the young and the upcoming researchers, to conceive of research programs, to try to identify the issues that are confronting different topics. So the kind of experience that the experts are going to get into their speeches, I'm sure is going to go a long way in crystallizing how to conceive of research problems and how to carry out research in different areas, as well as what are the different very important issues. Because sometimes what happens is that as young researchers, we want to work on a certain area, but it is difficult for us to conceive and conceptualize what kind of issues which are confronting that. So I think through programs such as this, ICSR is enhancing the capabilities of researchers to identify the problems that are confronting the different sectors of the economy and the different arenas of policy development. And I think to that extent, this program has been designed in such a way to fulfill that objective. And without taking much time, I think now as we go forward and as we move through the different sessions, we would learn a lot, I'm sure, not only the participants, but also me, Vachaspati, and the rest of the faculty. We are really are looking forward to interactions. And I would really hope that the participants are interactive and they are in a discussion mode and not really a classroom lecture kind of a situation. So we would welcome discussions from all participants, and I'm sure all the experts who are going to be there would also like to carry forward in this manner. So Vachaspati, now we should invite Professor Joseph to give his address. I think I would like you to give a brief introduction to Professor Joseph for the benefit of our audience. Thank you. You are on mute.
Professor KJ Joseph is the director of Gulati Institute of Finance and Taxation, Thiruvananthapuram. He is also president of Globalix and founding editor-in-chief of Innovation and Development, a very reputed journal published by Taylor and Francis. Earlier position that he held include Ministry of Commerce Chair Professor at Center for Development Studies, visiting senior fellow at RIS New Delhi, Professor Jawaharlal Nehru University, IT policy consultants of UNESCAP for Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam, Thailand, and Yunnan province of China. Expert in innovation studies at Tianjin University of Finance and Economics, China. He is selected under the program of Search for Global Expert. He has also been a consultant to the UNCTAD. His area of experience include science, technology, innovation for development with focus on information technology, industry, especially electronics, FDI, trade, globalization, and WTO. Regional development with focus on Kerala economy and natural resource-based development with focus on plantation agriculture. Apart from over 80 research papers and a number of policy-oriented reports, he has 6 books published by 5 leading international publications: Sage, Oxford University Press, Palgrave Macmillan, Routledge, and Edward Elgar. In his credit, Professor Joseph has delivered invited lecture, keynote address, and presented papers in over 80 seminar conferences held in 35 countries and over 125 seminar workshop conferences in India. He has been a member of Committee of Director and Governing Body of Center for Development Studies, Steering Committee of India European Union Cooperation in Science and Technology, Review Committee of HSRC South Africa, Indo-Japan Committee of Social Sciences and Humanities, and different expert committee appointed by Government of India and Government of Kerala, including the co-chairman of 13th 5-year plan working group on micro, small, and regional industry, Kerala State Planning Board. Professor Joseph had a gold medalist of Calicut University for MA Economics, and he earned his MPhil and PhD degree from Jawaharlal Nehru University Center for Development Studies, Trivandrum, and undertook postdoctoral research at LA University as a Ford Foundation Fellow. It's our great privilege to have Professor Joseph. Sir, welcome, and thanks a lot for accepting our invitation. And now you can deliver your speech. Sir, is it audible? There is some technical problem.
I think his screen is frozen.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
I hope I'm audible. Yes.
Yes,
Yes, you are.
Mehta, Dr. Scholars, young scholars whom I have come across in CDS and elsewhere. And most important, the participants of this 12-day research capacity building program organized by Sardar Patel Institute and sponsored by ICSSR. I mean, you are the most important people because, as Professor Nidhi Mehta rightly said, this is quintessentially an imperative of the day. And my interest in joining in this workshop is essentially because of my serious concern about how the economics research in the country, forget about social science, I'm not competent of commenting on other disciplines. The plight of a the plight of economic research in the country, as evidenced by numerous PhD theses that reached me for evaluation, and also as an founding editor-in-chief of a journal which I started primarily with a view to promote and provide an avenue for Indian scholars. And the kind of submissions that I get, I get terribly disappointed. So I thought, any opportunity from my side in this direction. In fact, GlobalX network, which I was the president, and the second time they wanted me to contest, I told no, I don't want to contest because you want me to contest. Better to stop the song when you are singing fairly well. But now last week, the newly globally elected board has requested unanimously to be the Secretary General of that network. So I have agreed to that. Now, the whole idea of that network is also capacity building, learning, innovation, and competence building systems, LICS. Global LICS, we have got India LICS, we have got SICA LICS, we have got Africa LICS, we have got La LICS, we have got Euro LICS. All over the world, we have chapters. And the whole idea that we breathe, we profess, and we practice is capacity building of the young scholars. And I thought, in a country like ours, which is trying to be what is called the third largest country by already we have overtaken Great Britain a few months ago, and we are thriving to be or traversing towards our third position in 2029. And at that juncture, we, the economic researchers, should not be in the 110th position. This is the concern. This is precisely why I thought even if I am in my car, I should spend time with my young scholars. This is the point. Okay, look, this is, we are almost, what is the time like? We have 45 minutes. I think I'll be reaching the airport by that time. So the point which I want to start with, okay, since it is by Sardar Patel Institute, I cannot but start by remembering Sardar Patel Institute, one of the most respected, one of the stars of Indian Social Sciences Institute. And it is from there that my PhD supervisor, late Professor K.K. Subramanian, was the director over there. And this I consider my virtual opportunity to be with Sardar Patel as a tribute to him. And more importantly, I have remember Professor Y.K. Alexa, as a young PhD scholar, the manner in which he has encouraged me. And, it was incredible. I take it as an opportunity to pay my respect to him and others like S.P. Kashyap and others, Professor S.P. Kashyap and others, whom I had opportunity to interact as a young scholar. And I owe a lot to that generation of Sardar Patel scholars for what I am today. So I take this opportunity to wish all the best to Professor Niti Mehta to take the institute to further heights. And I'm sure and I'm confident that she is in the right direction. And these kind of initiatives are indeed going to make big changes. Dear friends, look, as a teacher, I think, before I talk, I should know whom am I talking to. I think, where is this? Why don't you remove this this thing from my why are you keeping this ICSR sponsored thing? Why don't you remove that? Hello.
Umesh, please.
Why don't you remove that? I would like to see the faces. Look, I hate talking to me.
Dear participant, please switch on your videos.
No. What I see here is the program brochure front page. That is already over. Just remove that.
Okay, sir, I have told him he is going to.
And secondly, I will change the mode to what is called side-by-side gallery, standard. Let me see whether I can do anything. I am not able to do anything about it. Could you please tell me, what is the background of the students? Because I should know whom am I talking to, how many of them are there. These kind of basic details are very important. How many of them are there?
So there are around 32 to 33 participants.
There are 32 participants. How many of them from economics background?
They are, we have from economics, from management, from statistics. We have from and other social sciences. So these are the kind of people who have who are coming to
It's a
attend.
kind of heterogeneous group. And
Yes, yes, very
you know,
heterogeneous.
cooking and avial. Avial, you know, avial is you know, the one. How many of you have been to Kerala? Please look. Please remember, in the classroom, I will teach you a little bit of economics because I'm an economist. So I have to teach you a little bit of economics. I will start with one rule from the classical
I'm
economics.
from Kerala.
Pardon. How many are
I'm
from?
from
You are from Kerala.
Palakkad, Nemara.
Palakkad people are very smart people. Rajesh, you must not be other way around. Okay, and my task here is to cook an avial. Avial is a what is called something like your navaratna kurma, kind of a mixed vegetable, you know, such that you know everyone is made happy, because it is not easy task, because you all from statistics taste bad, sociology taste bad, task and anthropology taste bad. Satisfying all of you is an incredible. Rajesh will understand and he will tell you, oh, you are not, are you online or are you physically over there? Are you meeting?
It's a totally an online program, sir.
Completely online, my dear. I'm so happy that I'm an IT expert. I feel so happy that you know you are harnessing the IT capabilities, but I'll tell you guys, that people should know that this is see offline interaction is, you know, there is no substitute for that. You know, these kind of things, you know, many of the people are switched off on their machine and they are not there. I don't know how many of them are there. Okay, point number one. There are certain rules of the game. You are encouraged to stop me whenever you want. Okay, there is nothing like, please remember, I know there is a, I was asking myself after 30 years of my teaching and research, I was asking, what is the difference between the teaching at the postgraduate level and at the PhD level? What is the difference? You know, I had a eureka last month. Then I told that, okay, the PhD program in our institute should be reshaped. And also, I must say that we have a research capacity building program, not that I speak here. When I realized, when I took over the institute, I immediately started a research capacity building program. And in that research capacity building program, it's a 60-hour program. And in that program, we have got 18 university scholars from 18 universities running in the institute. Okay, now the point, couple of rules. Point number one, you are free to interrupt whenever whenever you feel like. Second thing, I will start with some bit of economics. I think some of your economic students will be able to know what is Say's law. Jean-Baptiste Say, he's a classical economist, and he has got a law called Say's law. What is that? Please, one of the economists, please tell me. Idea.
So
Rajesh,
it
are you
says
economist?
supply
And if you
creates
spend
its own demand.
that money, naturally, now this is Rajesh from Palakkad.
Yes.
Okay. When the income is spent, naturally the demand is. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Supply creates its own demand. Who is that person who gave that wonderful answer? May I know who is? Introduce yourself.
JB sir.
Interactive.
It's
Okay. You may. Oh, very good, very good, very good. Okay, now this is a general theory which we all accept. I hope the sociologists and all learned a little bit from economics. Supply creates its own demand, but in the classroom, demand creates its own supply, not supply creates its own demand. Okay? In the classroom, JB's Say's law doesn't hold. If you are vibrant, your teachers will be vibrant. If you start sleeping, your teachers will start snoring. Okay, please. So any class, I would say, I tell my students that I recently asked a question, like, for example, okay, suppose somebody comes to my institute and delivers a seminar. Director is there. All the faculty members are there. All the 4 batches of PhD scholars are there. Who is going to be most benefited out of it? And I asked this question. I couldn't get an answer. And when Vachaspati's supervisor came to my institute, I took him to interaction with the Professor Misra. I took him for a interaction and I asked this question. Misraji immediately answered, if I am presenting, I will be the learner. I will be benefited most. So in the classroom, if you ask questions and if you speak, you benefit. If I speak, I benefit. So this coming 1 hour is going to be a competition between you and me. The more you speak, the more you keep me silent, the better you learn. The more I speak, the less you learn. Okay. The question number 1, the rule number 1 is that in the classroom, JB says, law that supply creates its own demand doesn't work. What works is demand creates its own supply. So you better be proactive. Now, the question I will again ask by, say, for example, that you are going to get an opportunity to talk to or rather interact online with a wide range of scholars. And you are all going to be researchers, I'm sure. Now, point number 1, you are not going to be, I think I do not know many of you, there are different kinds of research. You know that today in India, the policy making is not so much by the so-called PhD research. The research by what articles appearing in newspaper articles. Actually, today's newspaper is tomorrow's waste paper. Still, in fact, policymakers are indeed driven by what you read in the newspaper. How many of the so-called researchers are influencing the policy research? I'm not very sure. Now, the question which I want to ask is, what is the difference between research and PhD research? Journalists also do research. They don't write out of the sky. They do research. What is the difference between PhD research and research? Or rather, what is the difference between a report? And we have got a very eminent reports in this country. Narsum Committee, Dagley Committee. I can think in terms of umpteen reports that has made impact. What is the difference between a PhD thesis and a report? Can anyone answer? Particularly those who are keeping their video mode closed may respond. What is the difference? How many of you are doing, is there anybody not doing PhD here? No one. All of you are doing PhD. So now first question is, what exactly you are going to prepare? You are going to write a PhD thesis. What is the quintessential difference between a PhD thesis and a report? That you should know. In fact, this, even if you are not answering, don't worry. I asked this question at least 11 meetings of this type on a face-to-face mode. I could get a fairly satisfactory answer only from a JNU student who was participating from Assam. That is the tragedy of our research. What is the difference between a PhD thesis and a report? That is what you should know to begin with. Is it you? Or yeah. Okay.
Sir, in a PhD thesis, there is both theoretical support and a structure that is there, as well as we also collect data and we formulate. But mainly in a report, we do not go for background theoretical support that has been conducted.
I think you appears to be a very smart scholar. You are on the direction of, first of all, you said that you collect data. Data is collected in all reports.
Yes,
Am I right?
sir. And yes, sir. And in the PhD, there is a theoretical structure and a theoretical support that is there in a
wonderful.
PhD.
if I were physically with you, I would have given you a gift right away. I would have given you right away a gift, at least a chewing gum. I'm sorry. Wonderful, wonderful answer. The point number one is that a PhD thesis must have an explicit theoretical framework. Explicit. Report can have a theoretical framework and it can be implicit. And in fact, some of the reports can be submitted for a PhD. If a report has got an explicit theoretical framework, it can be awarded for a PhD degree. And many of the reports have got theoretical framework, but that theoretical framework is often implicit. So, for example, a report which is submitted for the Gujarat Chief Minister and the governments have got their own ideological theoretical perspectives. But in a thesis, you need to have an explicit theoretical framework. In my view, since you use the word data information, I would say that in a sense, PhD thesis is your travel from information to knowledge to wisdom. This journey, my dear friends, I will tell you, this journey is the researcher's journey. And please remember, this is not all about writing 250 pages. In fact, when one of my friends submitted the thesis after 10 years and went back home, his mother asked, if you have written half a page one day, you would have finished, you took 8 years. If you have written half a page a day, you would have finished in 1 year, 2 years. What were you doing all these days? My dear friends, PhD thesis, if you think that it is all about making what is called a 250 page or 200 page, it is not. It is not. It is the making scholar. PhD is the process of making a scholar. In fact, I often tell in my
So we are unable to hear you.
how you make, pardon?
There's some problem, I think, with your network.
My
No,
my
now we can
audio?
hear. Now we can hear you.
Okay. Since I am the car, maybe the point which I'm trying to say is that PhD thesis is actually your journey from what is called from information to knowledge to wisdom. And again, don't think that this is like, this is precisely where you, in your life, you are never ever given an opportunity to read and write. You are never given you are never paid for reading and writing. And in your life, you will never ever get a problem for 3 years or 5 years or 4 years. In my last 3 years time, last 4 years time, I would have dabbled on 400 issues. You are grooming yourself. You are being groomed yourself into a scholar. This is the only time you are able to kind of build up yourself. Now, the question which we are trying to answer is, so for example, I told you that PhD thesis is, your friend yourself told, what distinguishes yourself from from a report is it should have an explicitly stated theoretical framework. This is like saying that, we have got the Christians, we have got the Hindus, we have got the Muslims. Now they all believe that all are trying to go to God, go to heaven, I suppose. All are aiming at same thing, but their route is different. And when I am saying I'm a Christian, there are a number of people in my category, in my framework, who believe that the way to reach God is through Bible. Similarly, when you are following a particular framework, you get involved into similar scholars who follow the similar line of inquiry. That is where what is important for you to read when you are reading, when you are arriving at a framework. I am a Christian because by birth I was baptized. In your case, this is a decision that you take by yourself. It is not because your father told you that you do in this particular framework. Suppose somebody who's working on labor, somebody gets carried away by Basilian burgers, and they say that a flexible labor market is the solution for everything. You can agree with him, you can disagree with him. But the point I'm trying to say that when you are, if you want to come up with a proper framework of analysis, you need to have the capacity to critically examine the existing stock of knowledge. And when I say that you want to critically examine, I will ask you a question, young scholars. Are you happy with the current? See, very often when I see the PhD thesis, I find number of articles presented, and they are presented in alphabetical order. Maybe someday they are presented in chronological order. They are presented in the manner in which they are read. Even if somebody fortunately or inadvertently drops few references, nothing will happen. If you read many of the theses, you go to the review of literature. If I delete 3 of them, last week somebody brought me something. I told, okay, assume that your daughter unfortunately took the mobile, your laptop, and deleted 3 of them. What will happen to your review? Nothing will happen. Now the question is, the review has to be critical. When you talk about critical, I'm asking you guys, I rarely see critical review. Critical review I rarely see. I'm asking you why you should be critical. Why you should be critical? I'm asking a question. Are you happy with the world that you're living in? Are you happy with the world that you're living in? Yes? Hello, please respond. You are
Not
all
always, not always, sir.
not always. You are not happy always. Sometime at least you are happy, isn't it? But
Yes.
I'm always unhappy. I'm happy on my own way. When it comes to me, well, I have a good job. I'm very happy. I have a nice family. I have, I feel rich. Rich means, with 500 rupees in my bank, I used to feel rich. And there are people who feel very poor even with the 500 crore in their bank account. The richness is a psychological factor of the case. But when I look around, the kind of inequality that I see, the kind of social thing which I see, I have no reason to be happy. Why are you then unhappy? Why are you unhappy? And what makes the world that we see around? Tell me, what makes the current world that we see around? What makes Tell me, what makes the current world? The current world, the existing stock of knowledge, which I mean, knowledge has got 2 components. Again, now I have to go a step back. How the knowledge is coming? Knowledge comes through learning. How learning takes place? Learning is quintessentially an interactive process. How the interaction takes place? Interaction takes place in an institutional context used in the Douglas North perspective in terms of when I am talking about governs the interaction, shapes the type of knowledge, the kind of knowledge, the pattern of knowledge generation. I'll go back to a very interesting story in my school days. I had a mathematics teacher. Mathematics teachers are and she was called Vanida Police. Vanida Police means woman. I always, very strict teacher. I remember once I asked a question in my 8th standard. She made me sit in my bench in such a manner that I have never ever risen from that bench. And I have a classmate who is a priest he makes interesting jokes. And when he gets up in the morning, Elikuti teacher, my dear God, please, I would like to see that you will make her fall today and she will break her leg so that she won't come to the class. So what I mean to say that the institutional architecture means the rules, the norms, the tradition, the culture, the practices. That is institution. Eh? So is not an institution. According Sadapata is an organization. Institution means the rules of the game in which the actors interact. That interactive space, the interactive space for learning is created by the institutional architecture. Today we have an institutional architecture in this particular interaction. It's an online interaction. There are limits in terms of whatever. That's institutional architecture. So what I'm trying to say that the current stock of knowledge governs what the world that of today. That knowledge can be written knowledge, that I will call scientific knowledge. Knowledge is of two types. One is scientific knowledge, second is synthetic knowledge. Scientific knowledge is the knowledge which is documented, which comes out of research and development and organized learning in the universities, in all your textbook and in all your scientific journals, etc., etc. This is called scientific knowledge. But when you are trying to link to development, more important is, in fact, I would say synthetic knowledge or experience-based knowledge. While scientific knowledge is very important, equally important is synthetic knowledge or experience-based knowledge. For example, in our country, for example, I can go on numerous. See, for example, Kerala is head and shoulders above other states in terms of human development index. Is it because it's over there? No, it is because of the kind of knowledge that created on account of the interactive space, on account of the innovations that in account of the documented the synthetic knowledge, the experience knowledge of the social reform movements. For example, as early as in 1838, a social reformer told the mothers, saying that kindly you don't feed your children with cold water. Someone called Sri Narayana Guru. He told, don't feed your children with hot water. Always use boiled and water so that there won't be germs. And in fact, that was the first step in reducing the infant mortality in the state. So what I'm trying to say that when we are talking about knowledge, we have two types of knowledge: scientific knowledge and synthetic knowledge, or experience knowledge and documented knowledge. No, what the world that we see today is an outcome of how you have applied this knowledge. Knowledge in doing things, knowledge in undoing things. So what we see the world today is an outcome of the present state of knowledge. And if you are not happy with the present world, my dear friends, you the younger generation, you have all right to criticize. You have all right to be unhappy with the existing stock of knowledge. So this is where I would ask you, how do you read a document under your postgraduate level and your research level? The fundamental change is needed in your case, as a researcher, is the manner in which you read things as a researcher. During your PG days, suppose you have got Kotsayanis, or you have got maybe ML Jingan. I don't know what kind of books that I don't want to read in. I don't want to get into that. That's a different story. So when you see something printed, you say, yes, you agree. Am I right? And during the postgraduate days, so whatever it is, very often teachers give the notebook, they mug it up, and I don't want to get into the learning process, forget about the postgraduate level. When during the postgraduate level, you read with an agreeing mind. But what is important in the backdrop of what I said, if you believe that the current world that you are living today, if you are unhappy with, you have all reason to be critical of the existing stock of knowledge. You should say that. This is why. Why it is so? Why do you say that? How do you say that? So what? Every sentence, every article, and you can criticize in terms of the database, into the manner in which you have the manner in which the question has been articulated, such question has been articulated, the manner in which they have went about, the manner in which they have estimated the model, the manner in which they have theorized, the manner in which they have compared with existing literature, you have all reasons to. You have to be critical, my dear. Unless you are critical, you will be standing under somebody's feet, or you might be hiding yourself under somebody's coat. I want you guys to stand on the shoulders of the previous generation. Then only new knowledge will come. You have to be ambitious. Now, say that you have to have contempt for the previous generation. You know that in the most powerful critique to Adam Smith, in my mind, came from Friedrich List, a German economist of 1841, while he was writing his what is called his magnum opus, the national system of a political economy. You know that Adam Smith's basic teachings are very, very well known. You know all that. Free trade, lead to market, no government, etc., etc. But you know, the one interesting statement which Frederick List made, in his, I think if I remember correctly, somewhere up in the 370 page, he said that every nation, I repeat, every nation and every generation is rich only to the extent to which you can draw from the previous generation. So what I'm trying to say is that knowledge creation process is quintessentially an incremental process, and you are rich only to the extent to which you can draw from previous generation. You know, it is true of in a practical life, and I've said that, okay, when we go to Scandinavia, when you go to developed countries, everything is built, infrastructure is built, everything is built. New generation has nothing much to do. You are lucky lot. I'm sure most of you will be inheriting huge wealth from your parents. Unlike the previous generation of ours who are born in poverty, lived in poverty. We had to build our life. So this I mean to say that when I'm trying to say that you should be critical to the existing knowledge, it is not to imbibe contempt to the previous generation. To be critical means to be constructively critical, not to be destructively critical. You have to be constructively critical so that you create. Now the question is, how do you come up with your framework of analysis? This is the starting point. I don't think that I will be able to talk too much about you. The point I'm trying to say that how do you come up with a framework of your analysis? First of all, to do a framework of analysis, you must know what is known to be. I became a Christian not by knowing what are the other religions. My mother took me and father took me and put some water in my head. I became a Christian. You don't, as a researcher, you have no such problem. You are deciding. When you are deciding, it has to be based upon a critical understanding of where you would like to be. You have the freedom. And in my life, in my view, I don't think that there is nothing right, nothing wrong. Everything is right. Everything is right. Everything is right. But now the question is, you have to choose of your own framework. And that you can have, in fact, you can have a heuristic framework of your own by integrating different elements of different approaches. You can say that this is my heuristic framework, this I evolved. And of course, you can have grounded theory approach. I don't have these are things which methodology people, you can start without theory. You can go to the field. In fact, I yesterday, day first day, I was talking to a group of college teachers. In fact, I was telling them that, okay, how do you teach elasticity substitution? I have a daughter who is an economics student, and I wanted her, my wife wanted her to be a doctor, ultimately ended up in economics. And she's not in the country anyway. So when I always use her as my example. This is no gender issue. You know, this is boys are also, my son is also exactly like that. Don't think that I am putting, and if she hears it, she will kill me. Okay, I asked her what is elastic substitution when she was doing degree. This is to say that, okay, she has not studied in, she learned a lot here, but she went to US. She said, I here there is a lot of study, there's a lot of learning in the US. So if you ask most students what is elastic substitution, they will say that, oh, elastic substitution is that Jingan textbook 14 page, that third paragraph and that third sentence is migrated in the head, and it is in the head. This is called in electronics, we call random access memory. If that paper is torn off, your elasticity is also gone. Is it the way to teach? On the other hand, if you people are the college teachers, if you just collect the data and a one-page questionnaire and tell the faculty members, tell the students to bring the data on this specific question of commodities and their prices and the consumption and across different households, you will get data and use that data. And from that data, you will be able to see, okay, when the 7th pay commission came, all the professors' children started instead of from T, they shifted to Boost and what is called Complan. Whereas our housemate child, so this is the way things to be taught. This will not be random access memory. They will imbibe from that information to knowledge to insight. What kind of a society that I am living in and how to address this problem. The solution will come to you because you feel the problem. You feel the problem. Once you feel the problem, you will be able to approach the problem the proper way rather than that 14th page, 3rd paragraph. This is the problem with our teaching. In fact, unfortunately, this kind of teaching can never ever. In fact, I was actually talking to the panchayats. We as professors, we can't even converse with a panchayat member. Forget about talking to a minister. We have got very smart BCom students, teachers, departments, and we have got 958 village panchayats. Not even a single village panchayat has got audited accounts. And under there, so many colleges are teaching students about accounting and auditing. None of these village panchayats have got what is called annual report. And they have got all smart economic students and teachers. And what kind of teaching? But I'm trying to, okay, let me just come back to the issue. The point I'm trying to say that, first of all, I am very smart. See that Seema, I suppose, she gave me a right answer. I'm very happy that this group is very smart. I wish and I hope you all interact together. And after the first thing is you need to have a theoretical framework for you. And when I get the submissions, I get at least almost 10, 12 submissions a week. And on what ground I reject papers. In Malayalam, this is saying that Unniye Kanambol Ariyam Urile Panyam. That means when you see the child, you know how poor or rich the family is. When I read the introduction, I will know how far the paper will go. You don't need to read, even in your proposal, the first 1.5, 2 page should make you reader say, interesting. One more thing, I reject the papers on 3 grounds. First, this submission lacks a clearly articulated statement of the problem. B, this paper lacks a clearly laid down framework of approach derived from a critical survey of literature. These are the 2 ingredients. If they are not there, I'm sorry, I regret. Unfortunately, 90% of the submissions that I get from India, they don't have. Of course, I know in India, we work together, we revise, 4th revision, 5th revision for professors, not able to submit. PhD thesis, when it comes, I don't want to get into my personal stories. Okay, now the point is you need to have, thank you. Okay, my driver is so nice. He's going to get me a cup of coffee. Okay. Okay. Now the point is, you need to have this particular, when you're preparing a research proposal and when you are proposing a proposal, very important thing is you have to be critical. That critical approach to the problem. Without pushing somebody out of the chair, you won't get a seat, my dear. Will you think that you can become a big man by keeping another man there? You should push him out. That you are wrong. Then only you can get a seat. Am I right? I mean, I'm bit crude and bit. This is essentially don't push anybody down and don't tell that okay. When you see a professor, you push him back and say KJ Joseph told me to push you. Please don't do that. And don't put me before the bar because of that. Okay. Now the point I'm trying to say that you are all. I must also tell you that you guys are any day, 1,000 times smarter than our generation. 1,000 times smarter. But unfortunately, I don't know whether you're making use of that. And I'm sure for making use of that, these kind of research methodology courses, you will be extremely useful. And I can keep on talking. I think it is time for me to get into the airport. My flight is at 12 o'clock. So I think I have said very minimal thing, nothing. In fact, I have not said anything. I didn't say anything, in fact. And I will keep for another 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Some, because you are all so nice and considerate to me. Nobody disturbed me so far. You are basically nice people, in fact. I like you, love you, in fact. So I will keep it open, and for some few minutes, some time, some questions you can ask, so that, please remember, now again, please remember, here is not there is someone who is having solution in the pocket and take it and give. No, it's not. In social science, most important thing is raising questions. Most important thing is raising questions. And finally, one more sentence I will say about your research problem. I often call it as elevator talk. Suppose you happen to meet your minister you goes to the secretariat or wherever, and the minister is into your lift. I say, where are you from? I'm Sardar Patel. Oh, Sardar Patel, very good. Achha, what are you doing? I'm doing PhD. What are you doing PhD on? Minister is going to get down in the third floor. You have maximum 3 sentences. Anybody doing PhD should be ready for what I call it elevator talk. Elevator means lift, elevator talk. In the elevator talk, you in 3 sentences, you should impress your listener. He should say, oh, great, nice. I would like to talk to you. Why don't you come sometime? I remember this exactly what Alex Saab, I tell this story to many people. Alex Saab, when I met him in planning commission, I went and met his secretary, and he told me, why did you go and wait in front of him? You should have come straight away. Okay. And then he gave me, thank you. Then he gave me coffee and cashew. And he told me, Joseph, this is the maximum that I can give you here now. Evening, please join me for dinner. What a magnanimous person, you see. How many people come to my office? How many of the people who come to my office will talk about me after 38 years like this? This is that previous generation, smart previous generation, nice people. They create a lot of good people. So you should be ready for what is called the elevator talk. Also, you get a chance to travel in Kerala Express from Delhi, Rajesh, to Delhi. You should be able to, when somebody asks you, okay, what are you doing PhD? Without these alphas and betas and gammas, you should be able to tell the common man what exactly you are doing, because you are all fed by the common man's, poor man's tax money. Please remember that. Please remember that. You are all drawing decent fellowships from the poor man's tax money. So we should be showing our obligation and commitment to society by doing good research. So I can go on going, saying that, okay, this kind of advice, my friend priest says that what is not scarce in this land of Upadesham, in this Desham, there is no scarcity for Upadesham. So I don't want to give any further Upadesham. I will stop it here, and a few more questions we can have, because only we can have some questions.
Anyone participants?
Okay, thank you.
Any question from the participants?
I think I haven't provoked them enough, perhaps. I think we will get perhaps more occasions to interact. So I only started a very small beginning, I suppose. I'm sure the other scholars will help.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So when we approach to something which is a new issue, for example, plastic pollution, so we don't have earlier existing knowledge regarding this issue. So how can we approach towards such new thing which we have never faced earlier in the human history?
I think it's a very interesting question. You are right. I think that's not that's a very interesting question. But this is where you have to broaden your knowledge sphere. There may not be pollution because, okay, this is exactly what I want to say something. The former chief secretary is very smart chief secretary of Kerala. I think very smart. Vikar Ramachandran, I think very smart guy. He came, he was an IAS man, and he came and interacting with us. So somebody asked, Acha, what are you doing research on? He told, I'm doing research on, sir, irrigation. Irrigation is indeed a wonderful area in India. Irrigation? What specifically in irrigation? Sir, I am working on tube well irrigation. Oh, tube well is indeed a major problem. In fact, that's you are in the right track. Okay. Tube well, what exactly in tube well? Sir, I am working about 2-inch tube well irrigation. Okay, that is my problem. Okay. So in research, you need to be narrow. Okay. You need to be narrow. It should not be that very narrow. It cannot be too narrow. You should not reduce your problem for burning pollution due to burning of 10 microns plastics. You put the problem a little bit backwards, you will be able to know what I'm talking about is externality. Pollution is externality. Okay. The moment you put that problem in a slightly broader perspective, you get exposure to a range of calls, polluter pay principle. You talk about club government report. It will come to the Better Commission report. You get a lot of things. But then from there, by in class, your mother, when she you been to kitchen, I suppose. You've been to the kitchen, no? Okay.
Yes,
Old mothers, old mothers. Not the new mothers. New mothers put rice in the rice cooker and after 20 minutes switch off and give to the children. I'm talking about my mother. Okay, my mother. My mother used to keep rice in the boil in the pot, put water, boil it, and in a firewood, etc., etc. Then, because poor lady must be tired of this smoke and all, just like your pollution, and she will be taking rice from with a spoon, and she will press one rice to see whether that rice is boiled.
the entire rice is
She's actually checking one grain, not to see whether that grain is boiled. She's actually testing one grain to check the other grains. Similarly, you have to read about other things to infer about this. Okay, so that way our old generation is not at all bad. They have given a lot. You have to sit on their shoulder. Be respectful to them, and you will be able to draw quite a lot from them. When I'm withdrawing, don't push them down to this thing. I told you that you have to push them from their chair and all. I didn't mean that. So there is a lot you can read. If you keep your eyes open, you may not be having that particular pollution, that particular this thing, but there will be quite a lot of literature which will provide you sufficient insight to this by reading the broader stuff. That's what I feel.
okay. Thank you, sir.
No, you are right. I must tell you, when I was doing my first research on cardamom, there's no research on cardamom. There's no research on cardamom. What review I will do? In fact, my supervisor never told me this. In fact, then I perfectly understand your pain. I understand. I have undergone this because, I always try to keep my students in the place that I have undergone. I have undergone the same problem. But then, Kahil and others, a lot of agriculture marketing literature have already been done on traders margin, etc., marketing efficiency, marketing channels. A lot of studies have been there on other crops. Can't you read that so that you can draw info from here? That's the one. Okay. What are you working on? Pollution.
Thank you, sir.
What are you working on?
Sir, I just completed my PhD in economics. And right now, I would like to work in plastic PET bottles. I am thinking of working in this direction.
Very good. All the best. All
Thank
things.
you.
Very good. But you will, I hope you understood what I mean. This is one of my students is working on climate financing and on COP27. Anyway, whatever it is. So it's a very interesting area. Very interesting area.
Thank you, sir.
I think we must, if there are other questions, if there are no other questions, I think I will also tell you that, okay, I think, I should not be undiplomatic. I'm very undiplomatic with my teachers. I know last week I was talking to them and I didn't stay back for lunch because I had another meeting in my institute. I know that if I was stayed back for lunch, they would have, I mean, of course, they were a very, so with you guys, I should be very diplomatic. So I think raising question it's also, it needs some basis to raise question. That is where I would say, Professor Nidhi Mehtaji, I want to have one proposal to you. Kindly do these things, I tell in my institute, in CDS, where I said, lot of teaching took place in the teaching block of the institute. But much more learning happened in the hostel. We should, 11 o'clock. I have time. Okay. So what I mean to say that you should give them space to interact.
Yes, sir. We would, in fact, we would very much to do such programs and such events on a one-to-one basis. But unfortunately, after the pandemic, these constraints have come in and we are allowed to do it only in an online mode.
We are constrained. Yeah, we are also doing the same thing in online. I'm not very happy about it.
Yeah, because we, as you have rightly said, we don't know whether the people behind the screens are there or not, unless they unmute and switch on the video.
No, I have a lot of jokes about these things. I don't.
We are taking for granted that the participants are there, and we are doing our best.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we have our limits. You have your limits, Raja. That's right.
Yes. But I think I will take this opportunity to thank you, sir. I think it was a very, on a lighter note, I think you made some very important points which would be very useful to the young scholars and people who are embarking on their research careers and teaching careers. And I think there are certain basic rules and certain mantras that any old timer and any senior scholar is going to say to the upcoming researchers. And I think you have rightly pointed out all those issues, building the right framework, critical thinking, critically analyzing the existing work, drawing conclusions and identifying problems in each area, and then conceptualizing your own research framework. I think those are the messages that have come out very clearly from your lecture. And I think, sir, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you. And I think it is a very innovative way. If this kind of a thing we couldn't have been able to do through offline mode, you being in a vehicle and addressing so many people from all across the country. So to that extent, I think we have to be thankful for this means of conducting training and seminars. So thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Mehtaji. And thank you, Vachaspati. And I also wanted to say, I was thinking that 2 points. Second point I could not say, but you will raise this matter saying that, these days we are taking a lot of data from the sky. Data is not a problem. And you are running a lot of regressions. Saleh Martin said, I ran 1 million regressions. He was in Yale when I was over there. It was a nice, very smart job. Okay. But the only thing is, please ensure that your regressions are not regret functions. Please remember that. That's the only thing. That you have to be very careful. That's it. Okay, I think I'll stop. And thank you very much for the kind words. And I enjoyed being with you. And I hope we'll have more opportunity to interact in a much more effective manner. That's it. Yeah,
true.
Thank you, sir.
Because
thanks a lot for accepting.
As far as I am concerned, as a teacher, if one student not attending in my class, I start sweating. Then I can't teach. Then I can't proceed. This is my problem. Because I know that I am not interesting to her, not because of her problem, because of my problem. Because I'm not effective. So here there is no problem. That way I'm not sweating so far.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Your session was very informative. And that was very good, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. All the best to you guys. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Work hard. Have a lot of fun. lot of interaction. When you read an article, immediately look at who has written the article. And if you, after reading the thing, make it a point, write to the author. Right. That is the way the reading completes. Write to the author. Many others will respond. Many others will respond. And you create your own network that way. And you have to be in the network. I mean, anyway, a lot of things. I think I'll keep on putting these things. Ultimately, I will miss my flight and be in trouble. You take
Okay,
care.
thank you a lot, sir,
Okay.
for
Okay, Majas.
delivering the lecture.
I would request the participants not to log out just now. Please stay on for 2 more minutes.
Hmm.